It's there again, staring at me. Show her away, Tosha, please. I'm so scared. Всем привет, с вами Аленка, и это маленький эксперимент, что ли. Я хочу почитать «Зайчика» на английском. В детстве я смотрела сериалы некоторые на английском языке с английскими субтитрами, потом перебралась на YouTube, смотрела нескольких иностранных блогеров, некоторые книжки читала на английском языке, либо просто из интереса, либо потому что реально перевода не было. Но во всех этих случаях сама я практически не разговариваю на английском языке вслух. И вот сегодня меня буквально вот так вот ударила с разгона мысль и засела в голове. А что если на «Зайчике» потренироваться читать вслух? Мое чтение вслух заканчивается какими-то рабочими моментами до школьной программы, я не знаю, когда меня еще вслух заставляли читать. И это довольно простые тексты или какие-то инструкции, которые, в принципе, довольно понятны и лаконичны. Здесь же действительно литературный текст, который вы, конечно, можете услышать в английском исполнении у самих, соответственно, англичан, проходящих эту игру, если вам интересно послушать нормальное произношение. Но мне интересно взглянуть на английский перевод этой игры, попробовать потренироваться. Предупреждаю, произношение будет отвратительное, скорее всего, местами. А вам, не знаю, даже понравится такое или нет. Поэтому обязательно пишите в комментариях, снимать ли продолжение такого формата. The wind clawed at my window at night long. It wandered the fields and howled like a hungry beast. An endless song weighed from all sorts of voices, shrill, gentle, sneery, twinned in the air. And they were shouting and laughing and arguing about something. Something was running through the snow while casting long shadows that would occasionally creep close to my bed. Our house had a mind of its own, a creaky old mind of a building that had seen a lot in its days and was seemingly trying to share its wisdom with inhabitants. Lonely house faced the forest, and a dark green thicket gathered back with its hollow eyes, rustling, whistling, swaying back and forth. One could come out and stand at the edge of the forest to reassure themselves there was nobody behind the crooked trees. Fuzzy silhouettes swaying in the wind couldn't possibly do any harm. It's just play of the light and shadow. Just a play. I knew it was just my imagination. I was already 12 after all. Still, the owl will arrive. Ну, озвучка полюбе.
Убери книгу немедленно.
Да, озвучка такая же. Hey, put away your book. I didn't protest and put the book about Conan the Barbarian aside. Barbarian? I was stuck on the line. I couldn't understand after reading it 3 times anyway. Ola had already finished her breakfast and was munching on some cookies. She was so enthusiastic, she almost looked like your typical girl from commercials.
Пока не съешь, из-за стола не встанешь.
You're not going anywhere until you finish all of it. I, on the other hand, was still trying to drill a hole in the plate with my eyes, as if to make the porridge disappear. Hazy anxiousness welled up inside, all because of the previous sleepless night. The black forest around the house, gloomy wind. The longer I waited, the colder the lumpy white substance became. Блин, много слов. It looked like a jellyfish from Coastal Odyssey. I love that show. I wonder how horrifying the bottom of the ocean is, or how cold the black forest is at night. A spoon fell out of my hand. Много мечтаю, больно. Mom showered me with a cold gaze from her green eyes.
Что я говорила?
Я же говорю, у всех тут зеленые глаза.
Я достану.
I'll get it. I had 10 seconds to catch my breath before battling the nasty porridge once again. I felt? Ну да. I felt around for the spoon. What is this, carved on the other side of the table? Karina. That's my mom's name. I guess she carved it out with something pointy when she was little. She sure was a rascal, damaging the furniture like that. Мне нравится вот это слово rascal. негодница. She would scold me for a week if I did something similar, though. Should I remind her about it? No, she's been in a bit of a... Зачем off-air говорить, Алена? She's been in a bit of bad mood lately. I imagine her be my age. Почему у меня age как будто age какой-то получается, да? I imagine her being my age, sitting under this table. I wonder, was mom afraid of the dark back then? О, стоп, так тут реально изменено, это же английские буквы. О, прикольно, надписи изменены. Or the sounds coming from the attic, or the thick forest. I imagined my grandma coming into my little mom's room, sitting at the edge. Вот тут наоборот age получился, по-моему. Sitting at the edge of her bed, where Ola sleeps nowadays, and saying with her soft, smooth voice, Taika is a special place, little girl. It's watching you closely, sniffing you out, trying to discern what kind of beast you are. If you're a good sort, it won't abandon you in times of trouble. But if you're a bad apple, it'll grab you by the side and drag you under the ground. And that would be it. Grandma was caring. She never fought with anybody, never yelled, never swore. Those were the times without the maddening screams until late at night, without smashed dishes and mutual accusations. Our parents used to love each other back then. Мне просто, как можете слышать, требуется иногда секундочка, чтобы вспомнить, как это правильно произносить. I remember listening in on one of their conversations by chance. They were talking about Grandma getting prepared for her funeral. She had already bought a casket. Casket? А, это тоже гроб. Я просто только кофин слышала. Хотя тут написано шкатулка. Контейнер, урна. Ну, как всегда, переводчик, короче, блещет знаниями языка. And she called it her cute funeral box. So cute. It waited for its time in the closet, patiently. It was black, upholstered with meat. Upholstered. Нет, я поняла, что это значит, но нужно точно перевести. Я это впервые слово слышу. Обитый. А, ну, то есть обивка, так и есть. Upholstered with meat colored... Upholstered with meat. Точка. Upholstered with meat-colored material on the inside. I saw it when my grandma was getting buried. The house didn't change since the time she was alive. Only all of the photos were gone. Glass-covered pictures with grey faces of my ancestors. They all had a dead but watchful look in their eyes. I crawled out from under the table. Слазили под... Мне все еще нравится, как мы слазили под стол эпично. Ola was done with her cookies and was looking at my share like sly woodland creature. Woodland creature. I turned my gaze toward the frosted window. There were a lot of dark pines outside, but they didn't grab my attention. The pattern of frost formed a picture on the glass. Ola, look, it's a fox! Where? It looked almost like those optical illusion thingies they put on the back of the student notebooks. Mixture of lines at first glance, but if you blur your vision a little bit and look under a certain angle, not outside, on the window. Look, here's a nose and here's... Hey, it up! Yeah, just a moment. I don't see anything. Hurry up, there's not much left. Ah, there it is! But it still doesn't look like one. And I'm telling you it does. Nuh-uh! It does! Stop it! These kids, I swear. Now I couldn't see the fox either. It disappeared. Went away. Only the frosty patterns, similar to stretched out nettle leaves. Нет, неправильно. Nettle крапива. Nettle, если что, кстати. Similar to stretched out nettle leaves, kept creeping up the class. My dad entered the kitchen with long, measured steps. I want to have a beard like his when I grow up. Mom would always ask jokingly, "Come on, shave it off, it stinks." It was so long ago. Nowadays, rumbling doors and witty comebacks were everyday occurrence. Ola always covered her ears whenever she hears something like, "What the point in all this?" through the wall. "It's all for your sake," Dad would reply, "for the sake of our family." I always got every sound in fear of hearing the most dreaded, deadliest word that started with a D. Devor. I don't even want to finish it. It was scary to imagine that me and my little sister would be torn apart and taken into two different families. "Anyway, your fox is nothing. I have an owl in my window." You and your owl talk again. "You said you believed me just yesterday." Has anybody seen my car keys? I remember leaving them on the windowsill. Right, maybe you did and maybe not. You're a grown man, father of two, and still... Karina, please stop. Just let me get ready in peace. Your keys are in the basket near the phone. Well, thank you very much. Антон, stop making a Я боюсь произносить это вслух. Ага, мученика. Хватит изображать мученика. Stop making a martyr out of yourself. Stop making a martyr out of yourself and finish eating already. But the owl! There was no owl. But there was one! It has a giant glowing eyes! Ola sprang up from the chair and placed her hands on her little face, imitating a pair of eyes with her fingers, size of an apple each. "Last year you had Baba in your closet and now this owl." But I saw it! Ola shifted her gaze back and forth from that to Mom to me, but couldn't find any support. Have you thought about befriending it? Befriending it. About befriending it. About befriending it. Have you thought about befriending it? You know, like feeding it with imaginary mice? Don't bully a girl. She's just afraid to sleep alone because she's still little. Ola parted her lips in rebellion and rushed into the hallway. The staircase that led to the second floor creaked. Mom gave that strict look. Oh, that look in her eyes. It's so uncomfortable to be pinned under it. Dad just snorted in reply and left, ringing with the keys he just found. A minute had passed, and the theme song from Little Mermaid echoed through the house. It was stored on incredibly worn-out cassette tape. Cassette tape, нет, все правильно, which Dad already had to glue together once. It is so easy to fix objects, by gluing them back together, for example. But how do you fix a relationship? Mom moved to the living room, and I was left alone, anxiously stealing glances at the window. Ola had trouble sleeping ever since we moved to this house. She would toss and turn, or curl up into the ball under her blanket. Sometimes she would jump up in the middle of the night and turn on the VCR. Cartoons helped to take her mind off all the troubles we had with the move and our parents and everything with the monster thing. And then Ola said she saw the giant flying monster outside her window. She became obsessed with it. Our parents did everything in their power. They tried every little trick to get rid of those ridiculous fears. Ola refused to sleep alone and didn't believe that the owl was just one of her nightmares. After last night, I wasn't sure what to make of my sister's words, what to think of it myself. Can nightmares be infectious? Infectious, правильно? That night, I couldn't get a wink of sleep and ended up thinking of what to expect from my new school. There were a couple of days left before the beginning of a new term. My imagination drew long, twisting hallways that led to a classroom full of kids, while all the students behind the desk were simply dark figures cut out using a template. Circular holes gaped in the middle of their faces. Pairs of eyes blinked inside those holes, It was as if some completely different creatures were looking at me from behind the flat black silhouettes. Their cruel glares, filled with icy sneers, made me shiver from head to toe. Will I survive here? Won't they gang up on me and beat me down, stomp on me with their bloodied shoes? The damn school can burn, for all I care. I just wish for anything to happen to it. Doesn't really matter what. I didn't want to go there that badly. I didn't want to see people who are just itching to smack me on the head, trip me up, think of a new offensive name for me worse than the previous one. I felt like the glasses I wore made me an outsider or some sort of a monster. My gaze slid across the drawings hanging on the walls. I couldn't consider myself a great artist, but Ola begged me to hang on them. To hang them. Куда ты собралась держаться, Алена? To hang them. Drawing was the only thing that made me happy as of late. The small circle of friends I had also enjoyed my paintings, and they promised to call me from time to time. Sometimes I imagine Mom picking up the phone and saying in a cold voice, "You got the wrong number," or "Anton is not around." Anton is not around. I imagine my future classmates lying это ложь, laying in the beds, just like me, listening to the howls of invisible werewolves outside the windows. Maybe my new classmates will like me after all. But who would ever like a boy with thick glasses? I mean, my dad used to wear glasses when he was little, and now he's married to the most beautiful woman on the planet, my mom. The house creaked, pressed by the wind. The condo we used to live in, a 9th-floor concrete building, buzzed with neighbors' drill, mummed with TV set from behind the wall, cried like a baby from a big family next door. Our current house, though I can't really call it new, was completely different. It was silent and easygoing during the day. Its shadows lay dormant in the corners, on the closet cobwebs, and under the stairs. But they all woke up during the night. Something was watching me from every corner, almost as if the old photos of my deceased family, with their ashen eyes, were hanging on the walls in place of my drawings. The floor was squeaking, rusty drains were moaning, the attic was occupied by noisy drafts. One could think the house was performing some sort of demonic melody. And then I realized I was in fact hearing music. It was already playing for a good while. Somewhere at the edge of my perception, I could hear a flute. It was mixed in with the sound of the wind, of the creaking old house, and my thoughts too. I stood up and rushed to the window. I wanted to reassure myself that this music was nothing more than a product of my imagination. It's not like someone is playing in there amidst the cold snowy night. Right? Amidst. Стоп. Там первое «м», ё-моё. Amidst! Боже, Алён, ты дырявая башка. Amidst the cold snowy night, right? Я обожаю, когда ты помнишь слово, но потом такой встречаешь его в тексте, смотришь на буквы и такой не складывается, не могу понять. Someone was dancing in the field. Black silhouettes I could barely make out, with the dark forest and their backdrop, as their backdrop. They jumped around, basked in moonlight, bumped into piles of snow, rolled around and crawled on all fours. Stories about wolves playing on the moon came to mind, but they were clearly not wolves. They stood upright at times, circled around, holding hands and wiping up snow, disappearing into the shadows for a brief moment and then coming back. Something bizarre was going on. Shadows dancing in the stairs Shadows dancing in starless abyss made my imagination go Куда она gone? Go wild, making me anxious at the same time. Okay, that was scary a little bit. Suddenly the music stopped. The dancing shadows froze in place, and I could swear pierced me with their eyes. One of the silhouettes immediately parted from the bizarre shadow carnival and sprinted across the field with giant leaps. Hi, Wolfie. It glided. It glided on squeaky snow without leaving any prints until it was devoured by the pitch-black shadow. Pitch? У меня получился, по-моему, pitch как персик. Pitch. Прям pitch. Хорошо. Pitch-black shadow of my house, which became even darker and thicker. Pitch, кстати, видимо, в данной ситуации это смола. Потому что тут он такой pitch-подача, ну типа питчер, да? Но pitch это смола в данной ситуации, смоленисто-черной тени моего дома. My heart was jumping around like a bird inside a cage. I shut the curtains with a swift motion and stepped back toward the bed. They saw me. A freezing torrent of fear washed over me. I stood in the middle of a perfectly dark room and listened to some unwanted guest move. Guess, guess what? It's a wolf. A guest move and scrape around, looking for an entrance. So the sound moved to the right, then circled around the house. Now my guest should be at the front door. I jumped into the bed and covered myself with the blanket, as if it could protect me. The shackles of fear locked my muscles. Shackles. Клевое слово. Мне нравится слово. Кандалы. Shackles. Кандалы. Shackles. Не, shackles прям отлично звучит. I remembered the funeral. My grandma lying there, her hand crossed on her chest, her facial features sharp like that on the tin doll. Ants running up and down the legs of chairs that held my grandma's casket. I imagined those little creatures climbing up her head and pulling up her eyelids with their tiny legs. Then her winkly eyeballs would once again move inside their sockets and she'd be able to see her grandchildren. I was chanting the spell she taught me throughout the whole procedure. And now, lying under the blanket and listening to squeaks and howls, I was repeating the same words. Or, on the island of Buyan, underneath the blemished sun, in the sea of color blue, stands a cabin made of wood. They lay lard? An ashen hair? Wait, what? Sala. Lard? Okay. They lay lard and ashen hair for the spawn from devil's lair, to feast and always leave alone God's faithful servant named Anton. Evil leave this house must, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Bizarre sound had disappeared. I cautiously peeked out from under the blanket and saw curtains waving around like handbang. And then the night doused облила. Doused me with a new portion of boiling terror. The sound scratched at my eardrums. In reality, something or someone was scratching at the front door. Я не могу, я сломалась. Hurriedly clawing at wood, demanding to be let in. The door was shut. Dad had become very cautious recently, so he installed the sturdy lock. I remember him staring at the forest intently, as if he was looking for someone. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. He's like, no! I had my knees, placing my chin between them, and drilled the door with my eyes. It was so flimsy and weak before the might of the darkness. And then the doorknob twitched slightly. Then it turned halfway, once, twice, as if the person who tried to enter had no hands. The doorknob tilted once more and then started clinging violently. My jaw cramped from fear. My wet fingers clutched the blanket. The door creaked and opened. The wind taunted me, moaning inside the tin drains. Now you'll see. The door was wide open. The darkness wreathed inside the... Ой, ненавижу это слово. Короче, тьма скорчилась внутри carnivorous. Куда ударение? Carnivorous. Inside the carnivorous mouth of a doorway. Tosha. It was as if the night itself was calling out to me, flapping its black wings and squeaking with rusty hinges. Hinges это что? Петли. Yeah. I was trembling and snared. Что с тобой случилось, ребенок? Почему так много новых слов появилось? Пойманный в ловушку. Ensnared by a web of darkness and hung in the corners of my room, waiting for the one who waved it to come out of the gaping black hole. Тони. Секунду, мне надо еще раз это услышать. Я не смогу это воспроизвести правильно. Живот. Abdomen. My abdomen tightened and my chest rose up, ready to exhale desperate scream. But before I was able to do anything, the darkness asked me, Tasha, are you asleep? My sister's pale face protruded from the thick shadows. I almost screamed from relief. Oля, I'm not sleeping. Did something happen? Ola frowned and stuck out her lower lip, a clear sign that she was about to cry. It's there again, staring at me. Show her away, Tosha, please. I'm so scared. The fear that was tormenting me just a minute ago crawled away and hid somewhere in my stomach. I needed to calm Ola down. It was just a dream, silly. Don't be scared. Dreams don't bite. No one is going to harm you. Ola sobbed. She was trying her best to believe me. But was I sure myself? I have an idea. Let's go to your room and watch the video, Sleeping Beauty, for example. You like that cartoon, don't you? Why does the Sleeping Beauty have a prince and I have this scary bird? A question took me by surprise. Alright, let's watch Cinderella. My thought became tangled, fuzzy. What was that? What studied me with its eyes while dancing furiously under the moon? The darkness was clinging to the window, and it couldn't be fooled by Grandma Old Chance. It couldn't be satisfied with feasts of lard and long ashen hair. Tosha, are you coming? Yeah, just a moment. And then, boom! Скримак по лицо. That's why I didn't want to laugh at Ola and her owl in the morning. Who could be visiting us here in the middle of nowhere? Фух, я даже как-то подустала немного. Но, в принципе, очень даже. Поэтому я считаю, как практика, это действительно отличный текст. Но я хотела бы знать ваше мнение. Интересно ли вам такое смотреть? Поэтому пишите комментарии, смотрите, чтобы я решила, продолжать ли читать Зайчика на английском. И всем спасибо за просмотр. До новых видео. Why does the Sleeping Beauty have a prince and I have the scary bird? Why does the Sleeping Beauty have a prince and I have the scary bird? Why does the Sleeping Beauty have a prince and I have the scary bird? Why does the Sleeping Beauty have a prince and I have the scary bird? Why does the Sleeping Beauty have a prince and I have the scary bird? Короче, я не знаю, как лучше это озвучивать. Я могу это даже на манер Дионы прочитать. Why does the Sleeping Beauty have a prince and I have the scary bird?